So let's go. Welcome to this Focus in a World of Distractions workshop, where I will have the pleasure to have with me these three amazing coaches, Katie, Laura, Albert. Thank you very much for being here. I will start with you, actually. So let me jump. So I can start with you, so the people get to know you. Katie, thank you very much for being here. More than welcome. You are this award-winning coach that is breaking all the dashboards, all the leaderboards in coaching. You are an award-winning peak performance and leadership coach for, in this case, founders and solopreneurs. We will be applying your tips today for more like tech leaders and people in the startup and tech world. And on the other side, Laura and Albert, our dear partners from WaveUp, which is a leadership development and high performance training company. And in this case, they serve startup founders as well, but also investors internationally. So they work with venture builders, startup accelerator programs, and then these founders and solopreneurs. So thank you again, Laura and Albert, for being here and supporting all this journey, not only with this workshop, but also with all the other things you are contributing to in our Lidr ecosystem. Thank you so much, three of you. So let's start first with a quick introduction to Lidr for those that don't know. Let me go back to the beginning. So this is our vision statement: better tech leaders for a better world. We really believe that there is something broken in the, especially in the startup and scale-up ecosystem, because when you start to grow, you know that it's really important to have other leaders growing with you as CTO or as CEO, other tech leaders in the ladder. And the real thing is that not a lot of people are taking care of that. And when you are from the inside in the company, it's very difficult to prioritize learning and development for leaders on top of new features, a new partner that is important to onboard and to prepare something tailored for him, or developing the pure technical skills so you can get up to the pace with all the changes and transformation that are happening over time, like refactoring, moving from the MVP to a final product, changing and migrating from one database to the other, and many other things that are consuming all your days. And at the end, even if you are totally focused on making your team grow, you don't have the chance to do it. So Lidr was born as an ecosystem to support and foster this tech leadership. And the way to do it, we have an approach as an ecosystem, as I have mentioned. So it's not only that we are a community of more than 3,000 people around the world, where, I mean, it's a space where we can discuss, we can interact, we can learn together, we can grow together, and you can meet both people that are on the final steps of the ladder, but also people that is like you. Maybe it's a first-time leader, is a first-time CTO in an early stage startup, but at the end, you need to be surrounded by the right people in that network, right? And this is something that is not quite common. Leadership is a lonely place, and tech leadership is even lonelier. So that's why we started with a community, and on that community, we are bringing all the services that those tech leads needs to succeed in the role. So from these kind of events, practical content, practical resources, a lot of templates to help you in the day-to-day that are free, to continuous support. And we are doing it through top mentors. We have here today 3 of them, but we have plenty of them for other topics, from technical topics to soft skills, empathy, emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, all the topics that are needed related to people's skills, but also developing business skills, developing that business vision that allows you as a technical leader to interact with the other areas of the company and to think in business for every single decision you make. Because at the end, a company is a group of people, a bunch of people, a team working towards a single goal, same shared goal, but that goal should be in some way making money and being profitable. So this team of people can continue doing that, I mean, pursuing that vision and delivering that value to the world. So this is how we foster, and we are happy to announce today, as a quick recap, that yesterday we finally and officially launched our Lidr Academy, where you can find premium workshops. Imagine it like what we are doing here today, but extended for 7 hours, close groups of people with actionable content, actionable resources. You can watch it later. You can interact with the mentors in real time in Slack and answer your questions. And actually, the same mentors that are here today are delivering the first workshop that will happen in a couple of weeks, the 25th of May, which is develop an amazing engineering culture. And we will have here not only these mentors that will be here today, and you will be able to test their skills as facilitators for these kind of topics, but also we will have the great Michelle Kaiser, which is one of the best mentors I have ever met, and I have had the pleasure to work with. And with that, our goal is that you are picking and mixing the right skills you need to develop in your teams with the best mentors, and you can leverage this learning and development on us, right? You can rely on us to do it, while you can focus on other things that matter most, but they are not just overlooked and deprioritized and postponed, right? So that's our goal. And I don't have anything more to say about this session. So guys, girls, the stage is yours. Let's go for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything, Alvaro, for having us here. It's absolutely a pleasure. You guys see the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So, welcome to this session, this workshop. As you all know, the main topic is focus. And why did we select this topic? Because we are very much aware about the impact that it has in your professional and in your personal life. So we will be delving now into a little bit, a lot actually, about focus, divided in 3 sections. But first of all, I would like to ask you 4 things, okay? First of all, I would ask you to ask yourself, why are you here? And if you don't have a clear reason or a clear answer, check with yourself. Second would be to be listening for insights, for new ideas, okay? Not for being right or for confirmation, but things that change or break your normal patterns of thinking. Third, I would tell you to have water next to you. It will be pretty useful. And to have a piece of paper, also, Alvaro, because there will be a lot of questions that it's good that you answer now or later, right? And lastly, the questions, we will do them at the end. So just keep all the questions you have, and we will answer them at the end of the workshop. So let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Alvaro. I'm going to talk about prioritizing and planning. So first of all, to turn on our motors, let's answer a fast poll to practice the self-awareness regarding this point. I don't know if...
I will share it if you want, Albert.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I just launched it. I guess everyone in the room has already received it.
Can you explain the answers out loud so all of us are on the same page?
I can see that many people is a cocktail of all the answers, and some people is doing is making a to-do list in order to following during the week, but sometimes it seems that these people don't finish that task. Awesome. Now we are going to see what can we do and if we can optimize these things. So Yeah. All the answers are between the second and the fourth. Awesome. Thank you guys for the participation.
I'm gonna share the results because everyone voted already.
Okay, good.
So I think everyone has it on the screen now. It's mainly a cocktail from all of those, but we really see also a lot of people with that to-do list for the following week, but not finishing.
Let's continue. So, okay, awesome. So what are the components of an ideal day or week? Perhaps should be obvious, but as you can imagine, the first thing is to have clear the priorities that we have. A priority is the things that we have preference, or the people that we have preference, but also the most important option that we have in regarding something, right? What are usually our priorities? Or purpose life, or life purpose, sorry, happiness, strategic goals, beliefs, fears. These are mainly our top priorities. So how this affects to our business, to our company, then are the strategic points, the main points that we have to touch. What are these? The most important tasks. These tasks are directly connect to our strategy and the core business, right? These tasks are the things that you have. You need to do it because of your role, and not the things, the tasks that the people give to you, unless it's your boss, right? The most important tasks should be between 3 and 5, okay? And the last point is that we have to do the things with the intention. Why with the intention? Because if we put the meaning when we are planning, when we put the tasks, is because then if we have urgencies, if we have different things that enter in our day, we remember, we know what we have to do, and not we are going without thinking what we have to do, okay? Okay, in order to plan the task, we divide it between time and place. Regarding the time, it's really important to have a period, a time to do the task, because then we can focus on that. There is a Parkinson law that says that every work expands until finish the available time to do it. This means that we can spend minutes, hours, days to finish a task, a project, if we don't have a deadline. It's for that reason really, really important that we set a particular time to finish a task. And a good strategy could be to have a minimum task and a maximum task to do it. And also the Pomodoro strategy, that is to work on hyper-focus time that should be more or less between 25 minutes, and should be organized around 4 Pomodoros times, and then have a break, for example, 5-10 minutes between them. And when we finish this set of 4 Pomodoros, then we can have a long break, okay? These two strategies we can combine and do, for example, and plan minimum and maximum time, and have a break, and then another task, and this strategy. And then the second part is to place the task in our calendar. Why? It's really important, because if we are not planning the task on the calendar, then we are not booking these slots to finish that task. It's for that reason that if we, for example, write down a list of tasks that we have to finish during the week, but we are not setting when we are going to do it, we are not going to do for that week or for that day. And if it's a strategic task, then we are not going to achieve it to do it for that time. Okay, now we have the energy audit. As you can see, there is this is a graph that relates energy and the day hours. it can change depending of the person, the culture, the country, but mainly it's the same drawing. And as you can see in the curve, this is the energy, the concentration, the willpower that we have during the day. Okay, there are different peaks, and it's for that reason that the most important things, these 5 tasks that we have that are connected to the core business, should be at the beginning of the day. Why? Because this energy, because this willpower that we have. Okay. It's for that reason that after lunch we try to do the things that are important, but if we need to move to other days, we can move it because the energy it's different and are not directly related with the strategic task for the company. Regarding the greatest prioritizing mistakes, the first one is say yes to everything. Because are all the opportunities important, or is because every time we feel bad when we say no to a person? We really need to think how much time, money, energy we need to spend when we are saying yes to a project, a person, or whatever, because then could be not really connected with the strategy of our company. The second point is being reactive. This means that if we don't have clear or strategic lines, we are going to follow the urgency of the things, the other people or other companies, but not our strategic goals. So it's really important to so that the person usually focus on the deadlines on the day, but not the strategic goals in long term. And the third one is to over planning. Some people put many tasks to do in the same day, in the same week, but then they are not finishing it. And this is a problem because then they are moving constantly tasks to other days, to other weeks. And sometimes this is frustrating because it's the perception that I'm not doing all the, what I have to do for that day. Okay, and now we have it's also known as the Kobe matrix as well, if you read the 7 habits. And this matrix, I think it's really practical because it's really easy to understand, and sometimes we forget the importance to have clear the idea of the urgent things and the important things, the difference, because it's what I explained before, that sometimes we are following the deadlines and the urgent things, but sometimes these things, even are urgent, are not important for our company. So if we have obviously urgent and important things, we have to do it. We don't have to think, it's just do it. And if we have important things and not urgent, we have to plan it to ensure that we are going to do it in other ways, in other days. Then we have the urgent things that are not important. We have to try to delegate to our employees, or try to move it if it's possible, or delegate. And if it's not urgent and it's not important, we have to try to eliminate, because if it's not connected with our strategy. So if for the following exercise, I recommend you to search on Google the Eisenhower matrix or Kobe matrix, because now you can, for the exercise that we are going to present to you right now, you can have it in front of you. So Laura. Yes. So now we are going to go on breakout rooms. And I propose you to answer with your colleagues these 2 questions. You can introduce yourself in 1 minute, and then you can answer how do you plan, you prioritize your calendar, and then what can you implement from the things that we talk now in your way to do things.
Okay, see you in 10 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the second part, can everyone see the screen? Yes, good. Is on the drives for focus and distractions, because this is a huge aspect of focus, is that we have a tendency to be very distracted. So first, let me just quickly share the poll and see where are you struggling. So I've just launched the poll. How do you deal with distractions? Okay, so you get carried away and then you realize the time you spent distracted. Do you manage to redirect your focus after being distracted? This is important. Do you anticipate distractions ahead of time?
Not a lot of people by now.
No, I'm looking. I'm like, okay, who anticipates the distractions? And you alternate between being focused and distracted. Great. So people are filling in. Waiting for a few more answers. Make sure everyone fills this in. Maybe you need to think about it a bit. Oh, some people anticipating distractions. Great. Good to see.
In my case, I alternate between distractions.
Yes, this is so far the most common answer.
And that's why you have intentionally hide it, right?
Yes. Okay, so most people have answered up to now, and I will end the poll because we already can see that basically most of you seem to alternate between being focused and being distracted. And in this poll, we're going to deal with how you can be more focused throughout the day with not as much distractions, and instead of distractions, having breaks. So when we think about focus, what comes to your mind? What do you think drives your focus every day? If you think of a specific moment when you were maybe working on that Excel sheet or doing that report, what makes you focus to begin with? Now, first of all, there are internal forces. Internal forces are basically, first of all, the purpose. Why are you doing it in the first place? And the purpose can be why you're doing it today, like the short-term purpose. But it can also be the overall purpose, like why are you doing what your job full stop? What's passionate about it? This is coming back to the start with why with Simon Sinek. So internal force is huge. Commitment is a massive one. When we work with intention, as Albert said at the beginning, we're a lot more committed. How much more likely are you to be focused? Now think about it. If you start your day and you think, okay, I have this massive, important report to finish before the end of the week. It's super important. You've got the purpose there and you're totally dedicated to it. Now, are you going to be checking YouTube every 5 minutes? Probably not, because the commitment is there. And the motivation, these are directly related. You have a real desire to do that. There's something that motivating you. And this is linked to the mindset and our energy. Laura is going to talk more in depth about the energy, but this is a huge part of internal forces. So when you look at your focus, you can think, what can you do every day to increase that motivation, to work on the energy, to change your mindset? All of these things hugely contribute to how focused we are. But also, there are external forces. And these are things like the environment, the surroundings. Maybe you like to work with music or in silence, with other people around. These are all the external forces. And when it comes to distractions, do you think they are internal or external? What do you think distractions are? Now, before we go into this, let's just look at one type of distraction, which is the infinity pools. Now, infinity pools, the term comes from make time, and it consists in basically all of these social media, emails, YouTube, your phone, all these things that really captivate us and attract us and make it really hard for us to leave. A lot of the times when we're dealing with infinity pools, they're not only our default distraction, it's also a lot harder to come back to work. And they were created in such a way that they are infinite. You can just do them over and over non-stop. There's no limit to them. There's no end. Just checking, are we recording? I can't see the record button. Anyway, just crossed my mind. Okay, so the infinity pools, the distractions, these are super common. And this is one of the biggest problems nowadays with technology because the availability of infinity pools is so strong. Why is it that we are so addicted to them? Because they trigger dopamine. If you have the choice between chocolate and carrots, the chances are you're probably going to choose chocolate. And it's the same if you have the choice between game or work, because our brain is wired for instant gratification, quick fix, path of least resistance. It's not made to do the hard work. So we need to trick our brain to get more dopamine from the work than it does from the social media or the game. We need to change our perception and get greater satisfaction, because dopamine is one of those key elements that contribute to our happiness and our joy. The dopamine, the oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, all of these are what make us joyful and happy and satisfied. So we're going to seek them in all of our activities. There's a really fascinating concept called dopamine homeostasis. The first time I came across it, it literally blew my mind. Basically, we are used to a certain level of dopamine. This is our homeostasis. It's the default after all these years and all these activities that we're doing. This is our default biologically in our body. And when we're used to this level of dopamine, it's really hard to decrease. So if you're used to checking your phone every 10 minutes, it's going to be really hard for you to check it every half an hour, because that kick, that dopamine, every time you see a message, a notification, it wakes you up. Now, for all of you that are multitasking while I talk, this is because you have a dopamine homeostasis that's really high, and just listening to me in the presentation isn't giving you enough dopamine, so you're checking your phone or you're on another tab. And we'll do this. I'm not saying, feel guilty about it, but I'm saying this is a proof that your dopamine homeostasis is really high. Now, to reset it, what you can do is a dopamine detox. This means looking at all of these activities, the infinity pools, the phone, the things that give you that dopamine, things like Netflix, it's dopamine on tap, looking at all of these and eliminating them or greatly reducing them for 2 weeks, 1 month, because afterwards your dopamine homeostasis is smaller and you're used to a smaller level. It's a bit like if you're used to eating 10 meals a day, then it's really hard for you to start eating 9. But if for a few months you only eat 4 meals a day, you'll get used to it. Your stomach shrinks to adapt to it. It's the same way with the dopamine. It's a weird comparison, but it's the same principle. And this will help you to stay more focused. So coming back to the distractions, there are inner distractions and there are outer distractions. Now, when I asked you if the distractions were internal or external, maybe some of you thought, well, external. People come and bother me, emails interrupt me, Slack notifications, my phone ringing, all of these distractions feel external. But a lot of the time, it's actually internal. A lot of the time when we turn to check social media, our phone, emails, maybe we're stuck. We're working on the report and we don't know the next step. We're stuck. Maybe you're bored. How often are you in the middle of something and you're just not enjoying it? Boom, that dopamine quick fix, and you go and check something else. This is typical. And also, maybe you're stressed. So a lot of the times when we actually get distracted, this is because of the emotion. It's because internally, it's not because of the outside. And in such moments, when you're dealing with the nagging voices, the shoulds in your head, all of these emotions, the best thing is to take a break. This is following our ultradian rhythm, which is something Albert talked a bit about and Laura's going to touch on in the energy part. But we have natural cyclical rhythms. Same when we sleep with the REM cycle. We have natural rhythms that mean that we're supposed to work for a given amount of time. Our cell produces all this rubbish, and then for 15 minutes or so, you need to take a break so the body can process all of it. And if you work continuously, you're breaking the natural rhythm. So taking a break in those times, instead of switching to email, instead of going to YouTube, instead of checking your phone, that's hugely beneficial. Your energy will go up, your attention will go up, but your stress will diminish. Outer distractions can happen. The best thing to do if you can is to anticipate, maybe simplify things, maybe put boundaries in place with people. You can say, please don't interrupt, or come in the office for people that work in the office or used to. But mostly we need to act or accept It's about embracing that stoic philosophy of acting on things you can control and accepting the things you can't control. This means that for those of you who are working from home and have maybe 4 kids running around the flat, driving you crazy, for the ones that keep interrupting you, the best thing you can do, just accept it, deal with whatever happens, and then come back and work, because we lose a lot of energy in the frustration. The important part here is really to notice how often we think that the distractions are external, but they're actually internal. This is the most important part here. So taking this part into account, looking at distractions for yourself, what is your kryptonite? What is the main distraction you turn to, your infinity pool, the thing that really sucks up your energy and prevents you from being focused during the day? And how will you block it? This is what we'll be discussing in the breakout rooms. I'll just quickly stop and share. I'll just quickly check the chat. I know there was a lot of comments. Yes, the most difficult part is not taking the break and turning to the phone. Exactly. And this is where we need to rewire the habits to be able to manage and process that information. And yes, this is a way of functioning. Great. Okay, so shall we go into the breakout rooms to discuss what is your kryptonite? What is the main distraction that you struggle the most with? And what are you going to do about it?
A bit more focus in this second exercise. Were you going through the different kryptonites during the session?
Yes, I think it was really productive. I have to say you opened a lot of minds, Kate.
Good.
I saw more focus this time as well. Yeah.
We had really a lot of proposals to help to different people in order to give him tools to help to block these things, right?
Awesome. Then, guys, we move to the next part, which is energy management. But before we move into energy, let's feel the energy. So I would say, and we are talking about breaks and everything, let's stand up, everyone, for a second. Stand up. You can decide later if you want to stay up or you want to sit down, but just move a little bit the body. You can shake it like a dog. They do that to have less stress. Just move a little, okay?
But you will see I'm not wearing jeans.
It's allowed. Just 5 seconds, just move, relax, and we come back to the last part of the session today, okay?
That's one of the things I usually try before entering a meeting. In this case, when I'm hosting one, you enter with another energy. Even speaking out loud or singing a bit, it's also great for the voice you project during the session.
Absolutely. So we can come back, or if you want to stand up, it's also fine. We are a lot of time sitting anyway. And we are going to talk about energy management now. Mainly, it's going to be about why energy management is important and what can we do in order to boost our energy levels, right? So here comes a very interesting point, and is that high performers are not focusing so much on time management, what is important, but they are focusing on energy management. And why is that? Because if you have more energy, and this we have been talking about it, during a specific amount in which you are doing your tasks, you can do much better. I don't know if you guys can mute. Awesome.
Pero te
much better.
interesaría por lo menos mirar.
Hey, Juan.
Awesome. So here it's about energy capacity, okay? If you have a bigger capacity, you will have a higher performance and will be more sustainable in the time, and you will have more engagement, right? So when we are talking about energy, the same that we understand that a car needs energy to work, obviously our bodies need also a lot of energy to work. And we have 4 main buckets of energy, which would be the physical bucket, the physical energy. mainly related to our bodies, the mental energy, the emotional energy, the quality of our emotions, and the spiritual energy related to the purpose and the meaning of the things that we do. So we are gonna do a poll now, guys, because I would like you to reply which bucket do you empty and do not refill regularly of these ones. So I'm just gonna share the poll with you.
How do you define the spiritual one, though?
Give me a second. It's there. Spiritual would be meaning and purpose. If you have clear the purpose in your life when you work, like professionally and personally talking. We will go more deeper into it, but just to see what do you find physically.
You can only choose one.
I think it's possible to choose more than one also if you want.
I don't think so.
No?
No, but okay, it's okay.
then choose the most important one.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people with a very empty bucket of spiritual energy. Well, also mental energy, I see is quite, now it's gaining traction, mental energy. Almost everyone voted already.
Yeah, we basically have no energy. That's what we're trying to say.
Then this makes this even more important to talk. So mainly, we can close it now, but would be mental energy and spiritual energy, especially mental energy, as I can see. Awesome. So the point with energy, also very important, is that different to time, as we were all talking before, is 24 hours, is finite, right? But energy is something that can be renewed, can be expanded. And how can we do that? We can do that through rituals. These are behaviors that we can schedule, precisely scheduled, and actually they are done internationally, and they are scheduled at a specific point every day. They become a habit, and with the goal of making it unconscious, so you don't have to think about it, right? And through these kind of rituals or through these kind of behaviors, we can renew our energy, the 3-4 buckets that we are talking here. So we are going to start with physical energy. I think is one of the most the easiest one to understand, because it's everything related to the body, so it's more tangible, right? We are talking here about nutrition. We are talking here about how do we do sleep, how do we do exercise, how do we do stress management, or how do we do mindfulness, right? So a very important point here that Katie also brought before is the rhythm. Like our body has a rhythm, and very related to energy, when we have very specific timings for nutrition, for sleep, for exercise, our body is ready. So the body doesn't need to wait so much energy, right? So here the question that everyone can start to ask themselves is, how are you doing about these 4 parts of the body? There's a lot about this topic, so there could be a whole webinar about it. And since I know you are going to tell me that there's not so much time also in our lives, I'm just going to propose you 4 strategies, which I think they are quite simple and they can have a huge impact. It's better to start little by little and then go further, right? So first of all, about stress management or mindfulness, here we see the strategy mind the gap. What do we mean by that? We mean that everyone is different and we have different stressors, things, people, moment, places that just stress us. And there's an stimulus there, like something that triggers that in us, right? And then we can respond acting, or we can respond reacting, right? So this person in the middle that you see there, it's the representation of this 2 to 3 seconds time you have to change your response. So the more you are aware about what's really stressing you, that I recommend you to do a list and think about it, the more you can prepare yourself in order to think about how to reply in these 2 to 3 seconds that our conscious mind is there, right? And then we can get used to that. The second one is about exercise. Obviously, we all know that it's very important to exercise at least 2 to 3 times per day. But this advice here is very simple and it's very powerful. And it's that every 90 minutes, and that's why I made you move, even if it's just 10 seconds, you move your body. So you walk, you take the stairs, you drink water. I would highly recommend to put the water here. It really makes a difference because your circulation is moving and then the energy is also renewing. You cannot focus for a long period of time, like we were saying. About nutrition, be good to your gut. Here also there's a lot of different strategies and everyone is different and has different goals, but a really easy advice would be to eat the rainbow, to eat at least 25 different veggies and different fruits during the week, sorry. So you make sure that you have enough minerals, enough vitamins running through your body. And here I would say also very important, the time management part. So a rhythm to do your lunch, your breakfast, everything at the same time. So your gut and everything is ready. They don't have to overwork, right? And the last one, and one of the most important ones for me, and one that really has an impact on people when they really place attention on that, is to recharge your batteries. The same that you recharge everything you have, every tool, is to recharge yourself. Why? Because we need to sleep, we need to relax in order to detox also our brain and our body, right? So here we are talking about macro recharge and micro recharge. Macro recharge would be just sleeping. Sleeping 7 hours, minimum 8 hours of quality sleep, very important. Because some people tell me, yeah, I go at 12, I wake up at 6, that's not 6 hours. We take some time to sleep, right? So putting attention there will really make an impact in your performance. And about micro recharge, and some people were already talking before, this can be deep breathing, can be meditation. There's a lot of studies showing that meditation, really well done meditation, can be like 1 to 2 hours of sleep. So it's not that it's the solution, but it's something that will definitely help your energy. And here, just a quick slide, because I found it funny and really interesting. And it's like, obviously, I think if you guys would have drunk 10 to 11 beers, you would not come, for example, to this webinar, right? And that's the point, that we don't realize, and there was a study about that sleep loss, like, for example, 4 hours of sleep loss, is equivalent to 5 to 6 beers in terms of your performance. So it's just a reminding of the effect that really sleep loss can do, and even more if it's accumulated, right? So here is the same graph that Albert was showing before, and here we focus on the signals for recovery. So not where do you put the most important tasks, but take a look to which are the moments in which you really need to recover. And here there's a lot of different signals that can be, for example, like yawning, or like you are suddenly hungry, or that you are tired. Like, you have to find the moments, because there's normally patterns behind, and the signals. So then you can kind of minimize these dips and look for solutions in order for these dips to be not so long, right? Next, we go to the emotions. This is about the quality of the energy. And because it's not just about how much energy you have, but about the quality of the energy you have, right? And emotions play really a big role in this one. The point here is to be aware, and it's a lot about awareness energy, about what kind of emotions do you have during the day, and what's the impact on those emotions in how effective you are working, right? Because we know that when we are in positive emotions, we will work better, we will perform better, but we don't think that when we are in more negative emotions for a long time, and that's the complicated part, that we perform or lead much worse. So about emotions, as we can see here, scientifically, there's 7 basic emotions, and actually the only one which is positive feeling is happiness in the middle, right? And it has been proven that in order to maintain positive emotions, we need recovery periods. We cannot do that for more than 1 hour, 90 minutes. So that's again a reminder of the importance of breaks, right? If we want to also maintain our happiness. That doesn't mean that we have to be happy all the time. We have all of these other emotions, fear, sadness, surprise, anger, which obviously they are an opportunity for us to do something. They have information, so that's the important point with these emotions, to understand what's the meaning behind. Because what we see a lot in organizations is that you will see in yourself or you will see in other people that are just slipping into fight or flight emotions suddenly out of the blue. You will see people very impulsive or very stressed or very impatient. And this obviously has an impact, not just in yourself, but in your surroundings, right? In your relationships. So the question here would be what situations, what people trigger in you negative emotions. And in that moment to ask yourself, what are you normally fighting for? And what are you fleeing from? For example, if it's like you are afraid of something, it's a message. So it's about what do you do with that, if you act or if you react, because reaction is a survival mode and it's fine, but now we cannot be surviving the whole time because a lot of situations are not like death or life, even if we perceive them like that. The third point would be the mind. And about this, my friends have been talking already a lot. I think the most important point here is really to focus in one task and just one task, what I hope everyone here is doing. Because otherwise your brain is taking energy, again, it's draining your energy. And the second point would be to be very much aware about your limiting beliefs, like these things that you tell to yourself which are not really helping you to move forward. Because in the end, we are conversations, so we can change those. And finally, this one that we saw there were quite some questions is about the purpose of energy. What is the meaning and the purpose of the things that we do daily in every area of our life, right? Because if there's a great purpose behind, our energy will really have a direction, so it will be much more utilized. So I give you 3 tips here about this topic. And the first one would be to think about what do you do best and what do you enjoy most at work. So this is about your zone of genius. If you are spending the most time at work in things that it's not what you really enjoy, then you will not be living your purpose daily. So this is a question that you can really ask yourself now. Am I really in my zone of genius daily for a long time or not? What can I do about it? The second one would be to consciously allocate time and energy to the areas of our lives that are most important for us. Work, family, health, service to others. Why? Because normally, for example, family is an important one, but we tend to forget about it, to not give it time enough because we are very busy. And in the end, contact with our loved ones also help us to re-energize, right? And the third one would be living your core values in your daily behaviors. So for example, a way to understand what are your values would just not be to think about what do you stand for, but what really you cannot stand. Like, for example, maybe you cannot stand rudeness, for example. So that means that one of your values may be consideration for people. And then you realize that every day you come late for meetings, you show up late. So you are really not living your values in your life, right? So in this case, maybe you realize about it and you say, okay, I'm gonna show up 5 minutes before. And in this way, you will be much more aligned. And because it's the spiritual energy is everything about alignment. Alignment between how you perceive yourself, who are you, who are truly you, and how others view you. Why? Because the more aligned is this, the less energy you have to put on trying to be someone you are not, right? So that's why these triangles should look like that. Like this should be a goal in our lives to have this as much as aligned as possible. So this first part was a lot about awareness, but obviously once we identify what do we need to improve, which buckets are more important, the next steps that will always come obviously will be deliberate practice. It's about practicing. We were already talking it in the small rooms. We have to make an effort until something becomes automatic, which could be the habit. So just have very clear that we have to go through all these steps to make it work. So guys, I don't know, how did you manage your focus until now? I think that will be one of the first questions we will respond in the breakout rooms. And I will invite you to do an energy audit now with your colleagues, friends, with the people you are in the room. So this energy audit, we're gonna keep it simple. You will have to do like 2 columns. In one, you will put what people, things, place, situation fuel me with energy, and in the other, which ones drain you totally, your energy, okay? So at least we have this first awareness about what can we change. So I don't know if it's clear or anyone have any questions because before we jump into the break rooms.
So for the second one, I assume that we will need to be somewhat muted, not muted, but maybe just working on our list, right?
Yeah, I could say like, let's give every person at least 4 minutes so they can write it down, and then we can join in the breakout rooms and talk about it.
Okay, so we will start with 4 minutes here all together, right?
Yes.
So we can answer the questions that they are dropping in the chat for this small exercise, and then we can go for reflection in the breakout rooms.
Exactly. See it. So the main point now that we were all discussing about what is really draining our energy or what is giving us a lot of energy would be to just select one thing that you can change tomorrow. So this is my last challenge that I sent to all of you. So we start little by little, that you really commit yourself to one thing. And now.
And for that, if it can help, in this link I have shared before, this Notion page where we collected a way to track your own habits and so on. You will find a link to a table that we collected in another session about micro habits. You have more than 80 different alternatives to do something, and we have categorized them from easy to medium to hard. So no excuses, right? You can do something from that list for sure. For example, just drinking more water and having it by your side. Absolutely. At least one, please, at least one, to say, okay, I went out of this workshop and it was really practical because I started to do this small thing, right? Just one, please.
So go for that, Katie.
Yes, are you sharing the PowerPoint or do you want me to share it?
As you want.
Okay, fine, I can do it. I'm here. Okay, so just to have a brief overview of what we discussed, because we touched on a lot of different topics. So first of all, as Albert was explaining, it's about prioritizing and planning, because if you don't know what you're doing, then how can you focus fully on it? And by starting the day with your most important task, that's when you have the most energy, the most attention. And as Brian Tracy says, eat that frog. It's extremely powerful because at least by the end of the day, you will have achieved something. Distraction free, this is what I talked about. So instead of alternating between focus and distraction, we alternate between focus, brief moment where we check our communication, email, Slack, and WhatsApp, and then break. And therefore, you're not alternating between focus and distracted, but rather focus, communications, break. So having this process by single tasking, being in flow when you're working, because this is also what happens when we're not single tasking, when we're multitasking and when we're getting distracted all the time, we're actually breaking the flow. So we're not able to totally give our best because of all the interruptions. So instead, working in flow. And as Laura explained, really in depth, really clearly, keeping our energy up. So being really aware of our physical energy, putting little practices and rituals in place, drinking water, exercising, taking regularly breaks, all of these things can help us. And by having high energy, this can make us work in a more efficient way. And it's all about keeping our focus at an optimal level. So this is the brief overview of what we discussed. You could feel free to put in the chat any questions that you have. I'll just stop sharing. And also, I would like to share with you our LinkedIn information. So let me just copy and paste our LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with Laura, Albert, and myself. We're always happy to hear, what the key insight was and meeting new people. I really love hearing feedback from it. So that'd be fantastic. And Laura and I would be happy to give 3 people each a free performance audit. So I've put the 2 Calendly links, mine and Laura's. So if you feel that you enjoyed the workshop, but there's some bits that maybe apply to your personal situation, you're not quite sure how to manage, then we're just offering it for free as a bonus of today's session. Laura and I will take on 3 people. So if you would like to sign up, you can sign up at the Calendly link and we'll be happy to help you with it. These are just brief audits to help you work through that. So this is it from our side. Thank you so much for participating and staying till the end and, you know, playing full out and being responsive in the breakout rooms and polls. And yeah, thank you, Laura and Albert and Alvaro for hosting it. I'll pass the word back on to Alvaro. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I was not expecting that final surprise from your side. I was not advised that you were going to give away these sessions, which is really great. Awesome. That's much better than our 20% discount in Academy, right? It's much better. So, okay, we have now the 20% discount in Academy for this limited time offer to celebrate that we launched finally yesterday, and now these free sessions from these 2 amazing teams from FocusB and Wave Up. And it's final time for questions. So I would say that we still have 10-15 minutes maximum for the questions that you have been collecting during the sessions, and maybe after the reflection moments in breakout rooms, you are coming back to the big room with some questions that you would love us to answer. So it's your time. You can just raise your hand in Zoom and I will give you the open mic, or you can start asking them directly in the chat. So we will wait for some seconds so the shy people stop being shy and start asking. Now the stage is yours, guys. It's your moment to have your own question solved.
One question which was written before, Katie, while you were talking was, isn't commitment related to motivation? I think that's a good one.
Yes, I think they are directly connected. And I feel that it starts with the commitment and that helps us to be motivated. So it's a bit like a trigger. And so a lot of the times when we're not motivated, it's because we don't have the purpose and commitment. So if you don't really know why you're doing something, then why would you do it? So retapping into why am I doing it in the first place? And then I think it's also linked to what you were saying, Laura, with energy, because sometimes the purpose can be super clear. It can be to change the world. But if you slept 3 hours and you're feeling like shit, you're basically not going to be able to have that motivation. So I think energy also impacts that.
Yep. I have another one. I think this was discussed in more than one room. At the end, as a team leader, you have one problem with external distractions, which is the people is coming back to you with things where your input is needed, or you are the responsible of everything. So when something is failing, like what happened with Facundo that was here and needs to move out in order to put out the fires in production environment, what we can do to improve that situation so we get less distractions from the team, what we can put in place?
Yes, I'll answer that because it's on my part on distraction, but feel free, Laura and Albert, to add something if you have other thoughts. Basically, there aren't a million solutions, right? So the only real possibilities are to block some times where there's just no Slack, no emails, no calls, no meetings. So just have several slots, if possible, during a day, but for some people, even just one slot a day is hard. And then know that during the day, there'll be this constant distraction. That's also part of the job. So ideally, it's having maybe like the most important task or certain moments that are blocked. And during the day, trying to work Pomodoro style with, the half an hour, you don't check anything, it's all off. Because people generally leave all the notifications on and then you just can't work because you're interrupted all the time. But most things can wait 20 minutes, right? Most of them. It depends, but most things can wait 20. So working with that 20 minutes, everything off, turning everything on, quickly checking, answering, and then going back. So alternating like that is what I've found. My clients work also in similar ways, have a lot of disruptions. that's kind of the only way to make it happen, right? Because people still need the support. You still need to answer to everything. So from what I've seen, it's blocking some slots where everything is off. Maybe you pre-warn them. Maybe you say beforehand, this time to this time, I'll be unavailable. And then alternating. This is what I've seen is the only sort of way around it. Laura, would you like to add anything to this?
I think I totally agree, yeah.
I think also that it's really important to, if you have many interruptions, to delegate as much task as possible on as much as is possible. But also, if there are many questions that always are repeating the same topics, try to standardize or try to compile all this information and make, for example, a video or a FAQ, frequent asked questions, or whatever, in order to make that the people don't ask the same questions every time.
Absolutely. I think we are getting some questions also in the chat. Just let me go up.
Yeah.
About sleeping, I think.
Yeah.
Can you read it? Do you have any tips for sleeping better and deeply? I have big issues in resting, unfortunately. I think that's very personal because there can be so different reasons behind that. So if, for example, you, Pedro, are interested, I will be happy to do an audit with you about it. But because first of all, it's about understanding what kind of a sleeper are you. So if you are an early bird, or you are a person who really needs to go to sleep later. So first, understanding your patterns, I think it's really important. And also don't stress about it, because sometimes we have a problem and we make something even bigger out of it, and then it's even more complicated to go to sleep. So I think these two things are important before starting any strategies, which can be related to relaxation techniques or a lot of things you can do before going to sleep, so you have the best environment possible. Strategies in the night and strategies in the morning. So I will be more than happy to help about that.
Nice. Lorena also has a question. Maybe Albert, you can answer this. Yes, I loved your answer, Laura, on Sleep Good Point, and it's super personalized. Yes, Lorena asked, which strategy can you give us to work in time slots? So maybe Albert, because you covered that part, you can say a few words on this.
Yeah, I think that you can use, for example, an app or a website that helps you in order to standardize your strategy to use these time slots. But for example, that it works for me is just put it on my Google Calendar, what task I have to do in that time. And also that is really, really useful for me as well, is to have different calendars in order to see different colors depending of what kind of task you are doing. For example, if it's more strategic, if it's more meetings or different things, or it's more personal, in order to block all the slots in your calendar. Is because of that way that you can ensure that you are going to do this task in that moment of the week.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Albert. It's true. I put it also in the calendar. I use different colors, but in the same calendar. And yes, that's really effective. And yeah, and I'd also say what you said at the beginning about evaluating how long a task will take. This is super important, because people, when they do time slotting, they'll put an hour for it and it takes them 2 hours. That's not efficient. Put 2 hours and it takes you 1. That's much better.
and also then you can put the second task with, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, in order to have that break. But also if you are, for example, using Calendly, you can program it in order to have this break as well. So it's, Calendly, for example, if you have many meetings, it will be also a really good tool to do it.
Yes.
Tadeo asks, what if you don't know how long it will take? Let's say a task can be done between 1 to 5 hours. My goodness.
Yeah, well, this is where it helps to have awareness of previous tasks and how long they have taken. But sometimes you really don't know, and there are times where you get trapped in information on things you need to look. Essentially, it's about evaluating beforehand roughly how long it'll take. So I'll never be perfect, but you get better at it, because if every time you have a task, you ask yourself, how long will it take? You get better at realizing, okay, I actually spend a lot of time on research, and this is where time tracking and reviewing where you've spent your time during the week this really helps you because you thought, oh, I thought that would take me 10 minutes. I ended up spending 2 hours on it. So you get used to understanding the way you spend time. But yeah, it can be tricky to estimate. It's not perfect.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to read a question. You continue.
Yeah, so I have 2 tips here. One of them is as you check your personal finance with Fintonics or whatever, these kind of things, to at least have a rough idea, have collected data to know in which topics you spend the most, so you can start taking action. It's the same for that. So if you use something like Toggle or Calendly,
Clockify.
How is called?
Clockify.
Clockify, sorry, yeah. So you start using Clockify and you commit for 2-3 weeks that you know that 2 or 3 hours for that weeks are going to be just filling up everything in Clockify, then you can have a rough idea based on real data where your time is going on, and you need to commit to that. And also that exercise for 3 weeks in a row will make you very, very aware about the draining things that you have in your daily agenda. And the other thing, it's a great tip I heard a couple of days ago. It's okay, you don't know if it's going to take 1 or 5, which is 500% more than the estimation, which is a great range. And the great tip here, in order not to underestimate it, it's not think how much it would take for you, but how much it would take for someone else, for your couple, for Albert, right? So try to think how this person will react, because some of the things that you normally do will be already a habit, so you will know what to do. But if you have a not well-known topic or task you need to work on, overestimate it by default. And also, in order to do that rough estimation, think on someone else doing it, someone that can be a bit trained on that, but not as much as you. So you will tend to overestimate it, and it will be more like 5 rather than 1. So even if you take less, you know that the time was blocked and you were not adding more and more tasks that week, which is when you end up working extra hours until the evening, right?
Sure. Yeah, really well put. I like that. Maybe a last question. Maybe Laura, you can take that. Vinko asks about how to get clarity. So it's really important to know first what to work on, which is also what Albert covered in priorities. But Laura, what's your take on getting clarity before getting things done?
How to get clarity? I didn't read that one.
Yeah, most of these talks focus on the things done part, but as important is getting clarity about what needs to be done. Any ideas around getting this clarity?
Yeah, I think getting clarity is above all about the last bucket I was talking, the spiritual bucket, but mainly is meaning and purpose. Because if we don't have clear our purpose, our meaning, why are we doing what we are doing, it's very difficult to have clarity about what tasks are going to be done, or is going to be that most important task that Albert was doing, what are going to be your priorities. So I think for this, you should take some time, like maybe on a Sunday night, on a Sunday evening, to really think about that. And I think purpose is something that you can think about it once and it's enough, but it can also be changing. So I think this is the main point, like have clear why are you here, why do you do what you do, if you are happy with that, and then think about what you will be doing during the month, what are your projects in order to get where you wanna be. And I think about clarity is also a lot about energy. If you are not energized, you cannot have any kind of clarity about anything because you are just drained, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's why it's so important to focus on your energy levels and what can energize you and what is draining you, so you have the best of yourself to be clear about what you want and do your best.
Yes, the energy helps a lot. But also I'm thinking, what about if someone knows their purpose, but there's 10 things they can do to reach it? How do they know which one to do, right? Because clarity on purpose, super important, meaning totally with you. But I also think, how do they then get clear on which tasks to do, right? What's your take, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, then they may have a long list of things to do, and I think the point here is to know, to put them in a timeline, first of all, to understand, first of all, if all of them are needed, if all of them you have to do them or you can delegate them. So first of all, using these 4 points that Albert was talking about, exactly. And then just thinking about which one is really gonna get you there, which one is gonna have a greater impact in your project, your mission, your purpose.
I like that. Thank you, Laura. And simplifying and actually, delegating and eliminating stuff and not wanting to do everything, which I think is a big tendency. Great. Thank you. I think that's probably enough questions for now. Alvaro, maybe the conclusion?
Yes, sure. So for that topic, and Vinko, thanks for coming up with this topic. At the end, self-leadership is at the beginning of every great leadership. And if you don't live your life, you cannot lead the life of others. So first, you need to be clear about what you want to achieve in your life in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years. And we have exercises for that. If you were looking for actionable feedback in our free resources in our website, we have, for example, a career development plan, which is a PDF that is asking you some questions, clear questions, so you can understand where do you want to go. And then another one is, for example, visualization exercise, which is another PDF. And there you can find, let me share the link with the type form. If you fill this type form, you will find those free resources. And visualization is the same. It's like, if you really visualize how you want to be and your life, every single detail of your life in 2 years from now, you will start building from there, all the way back, to understand which would be the next simple step, like drinking water, we were mentioning before, to go towards that direction. And I put that joke in the channel. It's like, I'm very efficient, I'm draining, but I'm recharging all the buckets of energy, but except the one of purpose. So I'm really efficient, I'm doing my work perfectly, I have slots in my timeline, I don't get drained at the end of the day. But where am I going? It's like taking a bus without any destination, right? If you don't know where you are going, you will not be able to enjoy as much as if you plan for your trip, right? So I hope that this kind of resources, this kind of templates, and all the brilliant tips that these amazing people has brought to the session can help you, Vinko. And with that, we can close up. We can close the session. So I would love to first launch the latest survey. You know, everything we do at Lidr, we need to measure. And Roti feedback, return on the time invested, is the one and only KPI we have in order to know if what we are doing is following our purpose and is delivering the value we expect to put in your hands. So please, Roti feedback from 1 to 5, from totally useless, I'm wasting my time, I would be better watching Netflix, to excellent, okay, I don't find another place in Earth where I would be better than in this Zoom session. So, okay, Edwin Gomez from Colombia joining for the last 10 minutes. Great. We'll have another vote. So yeah, thank you so much. I can see so far, 22 votes. I think we can end with that. My last message for all of you. We are working on these topics of self-leadership, informal leadership, and the formal roles of leadership. We are all in this together, Laura, Albert, Katie, and me, from different perspectives, for self-made entrepreneurs, for solopreneurs, for startups, in our case from Lidr, for leaders in tech, from tech lead to CTO. But we are all in the same boat, and that's why we are all together sharing our experiences here today. So thank you very much for being here today. My last message is, if you want to understand better about what we do, if you want to have a mentoring session also with us, Lilith has shared a link to my Calendly discovery call. So if you want to know more about Lidr, but you can also, have a chat with me because you want to dive deeper into these topics of self-leadership, how to better use your time and have clarity, feel free to book a slot there. And it's the final giveaway. You will be able to have plenty of us 101 if you just take advantage of it. So you have the link in the chat. We will share everything along with the material, along with the recorded video produced, so you can repeat the exercise with your team, so they also gain clarity. They also organize better their days. And if you need, la promoción. If you need a facilitator for your teams, just tell us openly, because maybe we can jump in and we can facilitate this work for your teams, okay? Nothing else from my side. I will return to the session so I can see your faces for the last time. It's been a pleasure to be here. It's been a pleasure to know that we are delivering on our expectations with a great ROTI in this case. I hope that you can see the results. Nothing else from my side. Thank you so much for being here this Thursday. We are living on time. I think it's the first time we are living on time, Lilith. Even 5 minutes ahead of time. Great. We are improving after 6 months.
We are focused on time.
Thank you so much.
Give example.
Thank you so much,
very much,
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you in the next evening event. Thank you.
Bye.